Hey guys, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be the review of the new String King. That's right, String King Mark 1 lacrosse head. Uh, they're usually good with kind of having names for their stuff to where it's kind of unique and all their own, but I think the Mark 1 was kind of a cool name for it. But getting right into it, this head overall is a very simple design, very there's there's nothing complex about this head. It doesn't have a whole lot of aesthetics to it. They kept it very streamlined. All it has on it is Mark 1 on the back of the throat and then String King with their emblem on the front of the throat. Not much else going on. They kept it to a simple kind of matte finish to it. Not too like raised matte, but it's definitely not glossy. It has a lot of similarities to, before I even talk about anything specific, but it has a lot of similarities to other heads out on the market, which I'm talking to Jake, I believe it's the president or CEO of uh, String King, or even a co-founder. I always mix up people's titles, so sorry, Jake. Sorry. But so from what Jake has told me, they've taken a lot of notes on all the heads that they've strung, and from what I've seen and from what I can tell, they've strung quite a lot of heads out there. Probably every possible head that you could most likely get easily enough on the market. So hundreds. There's a couple hundred versions of heads out there. So that's a lot of notes, a lot of features, and they took what works for them or works to them and what they feel is the best options out there, and they kind of just fuse them all together into a head that will feature exactly what they need it to. So with that said, I mean, I'm not even going to rattle off the similarities of what heads and so on, but we're just going to get into the technicality of this head. Uh, Again, very simple, nothing aesthetically crazy going on. Nice solid throat with a decent amount of cutout to get out as much weight, but still keep weight at the bottom of the head so that you have more positive ball control. That brings us up into the actual throat itself. The throat is at the 3 inches. It is only going to come in universal, so you don't got to worry about trying to find a high school one. Um, Nice, kind of wide but tight throat all the way up until this second strut here. Then it widens out into a pretty well rounded scoop. I've had a couple people say that the scoop shape, like the overall shape leading into the scoop, is a little awkward, but then they actually throw with it and pass with it and cradle with it, and then they don't really have any complaints. So just seeing it, they're just like, okay, sort of thing. They incorporated a 3-bar strut design, 1, 2, 3, in order to maintain enough stiffness. They didn't want the head to be flexible when you're shooting with it or passing with it. They wanted it to stay as stiff as possible while still maintaining a little bit of flex because it is plastic, but they didn't want any flex that they didn't want. Well, let's see, wording of the day. They tried to incorporate as much stiffness as possible so that your passing can stay as consistent as possible for longer, so that you don't have to worry about the head kind of just like and then the ball goes off into no man's land. So very stiff head. I on like it's so stiff. It it's one of the stiffest offensive heads I've ever felt. And I would honestly say that you could probably use this for LSM or D-pole if you really wanted to. Definitely LSM for sure. But with that said, kind of moves us into the actual scoop. Not too aggressive of a shape to the scoop. Nice and wide, so you're going to be able to pick up a lot of ground balls easily enough. And again, they tried to incorporate the looks and everything of it, or at least the performance of a lot of different heads out there. But with that said, they tried to keep this head as short and compact as possible because, I mean, Yeah, you want to be able to have as much catching area and so on, but you also want that ball to stay in there once it's in there. So with that compact idea, it definitely stays in there pretty well. But with the scoop, this top strut actually goes into a nice little cutaway closer to the scoop, which I feel kind of makes it streamlined, but also gets weight out of the picture closer to the scoop, and I don't feel it's going to be a breakage problem there because of how they curved it out. Uh, Getting into the actual top stringing holes, they have it very well spaced out. I would hope so with a stringing company, a mesh and stringing company making a head that they would actually pay attention to the top holes. They are big enough for double triangle top strings if that's what you want to do. And then they didn't really have any extra sidewall holes that get too close to the top string holes. So your spacing for your first sidewall hole to the first top string hole is a good spacing to where you can stretch out the top string of your mesh, or yeah, the top string for your mesh well enough to where it's not bagging out or feeling too loose. Because of the stiffness of this head, you can really tighten down everything without worrying about the head warping at all, which is really good. With that said, we move into your actual sidewall holes. There is a multitude of them. I'll actually count them out for you so you can actually know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 holes. Nowadays, most heads for sidewall holes are going to have probably 15 plus sidewall holes just for stringing options and so on, partly more than likely to get rid of a decent amount of weight. But 19 sidewall holes, your options are almost limitless with that. And like I said, you're able to stretch out. I usually only have like one sidewall hole open between each knot most of the time, closer to the top, because of how stiff this head is and how well spaced the holes are. I was able to actually stretch 2 holes for between the first couple lockdown knots. So nice tight top area for the string to really have a channel. I didn't go for an aggressive channel because that's not my style, but you can pretty much string whatever you want in this because of the shape of the head. You can get that mid to high pocket that you really want. You can get a solid mid pocket. You can have a really low pocket. Your options are literally limitless with this head when it comes to customization. The top, well, pretty much all your sidewall holes are going to be the same size. So they're all really the same size. So you're able to do double wraps for your tops, for your first initial lockdowns for the mesh and sidewall and so on. And you can double loop or use 2 knots in the same hole if you really want to. The options are really good with this head when it comes to stringing. The bottom holes are a almost square design, but still very rectangular to where you can put the leathers in it if you really want to. Although I don't know if String King's going to be too happy if I put a traditional in this, but because obviously they are a mesh company. But you know what? For a little bit, I think I'll leave the mesh in it just for their sake, you know? But so moving back into the throat to kind of finish things off, the back of the throat, only one screw, but because of how they have the head really structured, I don't feel there's going to be too much of a rattle problem. And especially if you use a good screw, it's going to easily enough lock down the head to the shaft. So overall, for their first head for lacrosse, I am very impressed. Most of the time it takes a little bit to impress me, but stringing it up was a breeze. I mean, most people will say, "Oh, I can string it just once and good." I took my time. I redid the sidewalls a couple different times to make sure I felt comfortable with it and just to see what the options were like. And stiffness, everything. Just overall performance, throwing with this thing on the bounce back, throwing with people, shooting with it, and scooping with it, just testing this thing out to the max. And I'm impressed for a first head from this company. It is a very good head. And I feel at a $69.99 price point, this is insane. Like, with the performance and everything involving this head, you would really expect it to be like $90. But $70? $70 for this quality of a head? This is like high school, college, professional level lacrosse head. But for the affordable price of $69.99, you really can't beat that. So I'm gonna shut up now, because otherwise I'm just gonna start getting into biased opinions and so on, or further into biased opinions, because of the impression that this head has given me. But so thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Go check out the String King Mark 1. I'll catch you guys later.